Well guys, straight away we have the update from the Pokrovsk direction. Here Ukraine started one more counter-offensive towards Solona village, expanding the gray area in the place quite fast. And before Ukraine successfully attacked the Russian army from several of the directions, mostly towards Kotline, towards Peshchane and Shevchenko. And yes, in many sectors Russians are sending their reinforcements. They tried to take the ground back, but so far unsuccessfully. In Pokrovsk direction, and Pokrovsk is over here, Russia lost initiative. The only thing which could save them there is the huge amount of the reinforcements which Russia may get actually from the Kursk region. And I guess that is why Ukraine actually started its Belgorod operation. Yeah, we're gonna speak about it also in this video. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. And I want to show you the entire front lines review. Let's focus on the most important hotspots. For example, Zaporizhia direction, that's the southern part of Ukraine where Russia started the attack towards Stepovo and Sherbaki villages. As you can see, Mali Sherbaki went to the gray zone. The idea for the Russian army is to establish the control over this important road and to use this region as their bridgehead for the further assault northbound. But the problem for Russia here that Ukraine has significant defense lines in Zaporizhia. Those are really robust, I know it for sure. So after all, I don't think that Russian attacks here would be successful. Nevertheless, they cause losses for Ukraine. For example, here Ukraine lost the tank, but Russia also lost the armored vehicle. On Facebook, I don't have the Facebook account, so I cannot cross-check it, but I can cross-check Ukrainian army losses. Some people say that I do not share the information about Ukrainian army losses, but sometimes I speak about it. Yes, this channel is pro-Ukrainian, it is biased because I'm Ukrainian myself, but nevertheless I try to present the actual information based on facts. And definitely here Ukraine lost T-64 tank, which our guys tried to hide in the bushes. By the time of the strike, no crew was on board. So about Zaporizhia, Russia may have some of the tactical success there, but not a strategic one, because those defense lines from Ukraine are really strong. And it's not the only defense line in this region, there is the secondary one over here, and they're really robust, similar to those which Russia built here on the south. About the Torets town, well, recently our guys from the 3rd Assault Brigade liberated this land with 2 of the villages. So together with Pokrovsk, Russia lost initiative also in Toretsk. Chasiv Yar, well, here Russia's attack as well. We have some of the confirmation about their losses. Here, definitely, there is the vehicle, Russian armored vehicle, on fire. One more hotspot is in Belohorivka. There are mutual losses from Ukrainian and Russian sides. Let's check out Ukrainian losses. Well, it was the abandoned Humvee vehicle which was kaboomed with the help of the FPV drones. Crew left the vehicle long time ago. About Russians, well, their vehicle was also kaboomed, but they lost infantry. We have it on video, I cannot show it to you over here. And now let's go northbound. Here Ukrainian army was successful in Nadia village, totally taking it under control. About the next movement of Ukrainian army, well, it needs significant reinforcements to continue this counter-offensive. So for now it's like that, still limited success, but success of Ukrainian army, which is great. And more to the north, here apparently in Kislivka direction, Kislivka village, it is Kharkiv region, Russia has multiple of the losses. They actually lost convoy with 3 of the vehicles. Yes, definitely 2 of the BMPs and 1 tank T-80. BMPs had the Z symbol. The area was geolocated, confirmed from multiple of the cameras. It's great, my friends, that we have this kind of the evidence. It is actually crucial for us to analyze the situation on the front lines. Plus, Russia lost more vehicles in the area. We also may cross-check and analyze. Yeah, BMP was hit by the drone. And 1 more of the vehicle, but again, all of this information is correct, confirmed. I just don't want to spend my time for reviewing that stuff. Kupiansk direction, recently Ukrainian army was successful in pushing Russians out from this area and also further away from Kupiansk, but Russia continued to use their aviation gliding bombs. Let's check it out. Well, as Russians say, they hit the Ukrainian ammunition storage, but actually nothing is there, just some sort of the field. Small hangar, but nevertheless Russians used FAB 1500 gliding bomb. Yeah, Ukraine also uses gliding bombs like JDAMs, but Russia has more powerful gliding bombs. They're not so precise as American-made, but they are quite devastating. And now let's go to the Kursk and Belgorod regions. Here in Belgorod, Ukraine got the advantage. As I've told you yesterday, Ukraine took two of the villages, Davydov and Popovka. At the same time, I don't think that it's the huge offensive operation of the Ukrainian army in Belgorod. It is quite limited, and the only idea of it is to keep Russian army busy protecting its own territory. Because after the end of the Kursk operation, Russia may send some of the forces to Donbass. As for the last 24 hours, I can see only this change. Ukraine hit some of the artillery system. We may check it out. So definitely artillery system was kaboomed in a tree line. What kind of the artillery system? It's hard to tell. But what's about the Kursk region? Well, there is a heavy fighting, but the scale of it a little dropped down for the last few days. Basically, what Ukraine did with this withdrawal from Ruzzia and nearby villages, that it shortened the supply line connections for the army. So it happened not because of the Russian army's significant assault and their tube operation, which is actually a propaganda, by the way, we're gonna speak about it later in this video, but it was a volunteer decision of the Ukrainian army to withdraw the forces, because yes, Russia hit supply lines on this road, and secondary, it was a political decision of Ukraine. It could be that Ukrainian military command doesn't see the perspective of this operation. But you know, still Ukraine is out there controlling several of the villages and partially Gogolivka. And I see how the Russian military bloggers are getting frustrated because their army slowed down in Kursk. A couple of days ago they were winning. Okay, we kicked out Ukraine from Kursk. We won this, they said in the past tense. But actually the situation is far to be perfect for them, especially with the losses. So actually, yeah, Russia has losses, as usual, the Russian infantry on top, and you may understand what happened to them after the FPV drone strike. Sorry guys, again, I cannot show you that on this platform, but I have my Telegram, so you may check it out in the video description just below. So as we may judge from the military map update, the situation for Ukraine is not that bad. By the way, President Zelensky today stated the same, that Ukraine is not losing this war. But Russia is losing their initiative on the front lines, and we may clearly see it in many of the hotspots. By the way, my friends, in my job I rely on your support mostly, so if you want to support the job that I do here almost daily on YouTube, you're very welcome to my Patreon page, which you may find in the video description just below. Thank you so much for your kind support. Guys, by the time I'm recording this video, Russia attacks Kryvyi Rih, and since negotiations had started with Russia, Russia intensified their strikes on Ukrainian cities, hitting mostly at civilian infrastructure. And by the way, about negotiations, those have been finished already in Riyadh between representatives of United States, Russia, and the United States and Ukraine. Somehow, White House came out with two of the separate statements about the result of those negotiations. This one refers to United States and Russia, and it is kind of frustrating for us, because the United States will help restore Russia's access to the world market for agricultural and fertilizer export. Also, they intend to lower marine insurance costs and enhance access to the ports and payment systems for such transactions, basically lifting the sanctions on Russia. And actually, it was one of those Russian demands, so they agree on a peace in the Black Sea only if the sanctions are lifted on their product. But in reality, there is no problem for Russia to send their ships from Novorossiysk port, not from Crimea, for example, to Turkey and further for the global trade. I think that Russia meant here to lift the sanctions on the Russian shadow oil fleet. The sad thing that it seems like United States agreed on that already. Donald Trump himself already commented that issue. He said that they consider lifting the sanctions from Russia. But what's the condition to lift those sanctions? What Russia should do? Trump didn't say. And that's the outcome of negotiations towards Ukraine. United States remains committed to helping achieve the exchange of prisoners of war, the release of civilian detainees, and return forcibly transferred Ukrainian children. Kidnapped, forcibly transferred. About the ban on strikes against energy facilities of Russia and Ukraine, they agreed to develop measures for implementing this feature. Develop, it's not yet out there, even though Russia stated that on 18th of March they did not hit Ukrainian energy infrastructure, but in fact it's fake. They hit Ukraine quite hard. And Trump was telling Putin that it's not just about energy infrastructure, it's about energy and other infrastructure. So hold your drones, hold your missiles. But even now, there are massive strikes in Ukraine, especially in Kryvyi Rih. So actually we're far away from any sort of the even partial ceasefire. And you know, Putin is quite comfortable here, even though he is unable to achieve his goal very fast on the front lines. I would say unable to achieve it at all, but he uses the war as an excuse to consolidate the power in Russia or to fight opposition and his potential competitors. And as Zelensky said today, Putin is not willing to stop this war. He is looking for possible excuses. Okay, we're gonna ceasefire, then you lift the sanctions. Okay, we're gonna ceasefire, then you stop support Ukraine with weaponry. Next, probably they will say that Zelensky should wear a costume and so on. So Russia is looking for the possible excuses to continue this war. And I am also sure that Donald Trump's administration wants to make a deal with Russia. And Ukraine, well, it is just an obstacle. The Russian negotiator Karasin said that communication with the United States will continue, involving some of the other selected countries and United Nations. Well, I guess that idea for Russia is to expand those negotiations as far as possible and at the same time continue the war in Ukraine. And with their stupid demands, they basically confirm it. Ukraine is ready on ceasefire elsewhere, as Zelensky stated today on his press conference. So Ukraine agrees on ceasefire on water, in the air, 30-day full ceasefire on the front lines without any sort of the demands or conditions. And a couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump confirmed that himself, that Ukraine is ready for peace. Ruzzia stated that the ball is passed to Russia, and Russia, they just destroyed this ball with their stupid, useless demands, and Putin will continue the war, believe me. What he wants is just to restore relations with the United States of America, to get more money to Russian budget, to supply the Russian army, to produce more of the weaponry. That's the only goal, my friends, unfortunately. Guys, sorry, it's an idiot Vitkov again, but we have to listen to him and also listen and watch Russian reaction on this stupid guy. So now he shares the Russian narratives. Let's listen and watch.
7 of their drones were on their way when President Putin issued his order, and they were shot down by Russian forces. So I tend to believe that President Putin is operating in good faith.
It doesn't matter if we believe it ourselves. The main thing is that the empty American heads believe it. And then there's Witkov. I'm impressed that Russia shot it down. Here's an example of an empty American head that believed it.
To believe that President Putin is operating in good faith.
Here's an example of an empty American head that believed it.
Look how they laugh, and this is the Russian official TV, Solovyov Live. Solovyov is the main Russian propagandist. This is one of his daily shows, and you may see the reaction of those propaganda guys. They simply consider that the United States of America is a weak country that betrayed its allies. And those idiots in power of the United States of America spread the Russian disinformation, so of course they would laugh. But for me, for Ukrainians, for our allies in Europe, it's not funny at all. But at the same time, it's hard not to agree with those Russians who laugh at Donald Trump and his fixer idiot Vitkov. Definitely empty-headed. Alright, Bloomberg refers to their sources in the military intelligence of the United States of America. They say that there is the possible variant for Russia to use nukes against Ukraine. Intelligence thinks that this scenario is possible because Russia is mainly stuck on the front lines. They do not propel as fast as they want. And to break the situation in their favor, they're looking even for that nuclear variant. Well, I still think that Putin is not at that stage to use nukes. I think that he would use those in case of the imminent threat to his power in Russia or himself physically, but this variant is possible. Plus, intelligence comes to the conclusion that the war in Ukraine will continue because Russia is not willing to stop, as well as Ukraine, by the way, they say, because unjust peace will lead to the next big war. And I'm telling you about it always in my videos, my friends, and many of the media also agree with that. The Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov said that the United States should order Ukraine and Zelensky to cease fire. Well, actually, it's not possible. Ukraine is, after all, an independent country, and now we understand that fully. I mean, in a way, Ukraine depended on the military support of the United States of America, but that's it. Ukraine is up to take its own decisions. And the United States, well, after all, it's quite limited to act on Ukraine. What they may do is to cut the military and intelligence support. That's what they did recently, but Ukraine will not fail or surrender in that case. It would just lead to more losses and more airstrikes on Ukrainian infrastructure, including its civilian one. So in that case, Donald Trump would just personally bear responsibility for the war crimes which Russia commits in Ukraine. But Ukraine will still keep its independence because there are some other allies, especially in Europe. Truba means tube. What kind of tube or pipeline, you may say? Well, this kind of the pipeline which simulates the one which Russians used in Kursk region to advance to Ruzzia town. And yeah, this is the Russian church. Some of the Russians here sing, and they sing the song praising tube and the Russian heroic action, which actually absolutely failed. And I have the confirmation which I shared with you back then, showing the real evidence. Yeah, definitely Russians went inside the tube, but then they exit. Ukrainians were waiting for them, and their companies were just kaputted. But Russia boosted it as a clever idea of their commanders and their army. And because of this pipeline operation, Russians managed to take the ground. Oh, no, not everything. Still, there is the Ukrainian army in the Kursk region. So what do you celebrate, Russians? You've been occupied. So what are you celebrating there, Russians? And by the way, this area is kind of dense here between the tube, the fence. It's getting a little claustrophobic. It's Russia, my friends, Russia and their strange rituals. And now, my friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.